Magical madness while I'm at work having a panic attack. Pulled back muscle. Jesus. Thank you all for being here. Yeah, Bunsmoke, the lack of coverage on O9A. We will talk a little bit about O9A. I have more research to do on the topic, like a lot of people. But if you'll remember, at the beginning of the year, there was, I think it was in February, there was a shooter, a black school shooter that was a Nazi. And it kind of went away really quickly when the right wing couldn't use it to their ideological ends. Then there was another shooter that was a incel girl. Long story short, O9A is a tie together between the shooter today and those two shooters, as well as other shooters. Yeah, so we'll talk about that more. I talked a little bit about O9A very briefly in the video essay I did about de-radicalizing white supremacists and neo-Nazis online. And yeah, Amy Van Hart, thank you for 6 months in a row. I had wanted today's stream to be slightly less terrible. I have already locked down the YouTube side of things for only members. I'm not going to be taking shit today. If people want to start stuff in the chat, today's not the day to press my fucking buttons. I had wanted to talk a little bit more about the video that came out this morning of mine on nostalgia, on kind of nostalgia slop, on the content mill, the churn that we're all stuck in, how nostalgia is repackaged and sold to us as political extremism and idealism. Very good turnout. I want to thank everybody who showed up, who watched, who has helped share and spread it on social media. It has been doing much better than I anticipated, and I definitely appreciate it. Giant Enviro, you can still do the chat ads. I still need money. I still need to, pay to do all this shit. Where's my... There we go. That works better for me. Fighting Hobbit, thank you for 6 months. Really bad day for this community. This was the last thing we needed in this climate. Yeah, I've been talking, and look, I've been listening to just as background noise while editing. I was listening to some of the Knowledge Fight episodes of the Alex Jones deposition, like from 3 or 4 years ago. And it got me thinking about the word false flag and the utility that actual false flag operations have. Raven Hollow, thank you for Prime, and I can't believe we're already on a hype train. Thank you all very much. So, the depositions, when Alex Jones was calling Sandy Hook a false flag, and they're coming for your guns, they're coming for this, that, and the other, and of course the utility of people like Alex Jones, Owen Schroyer, all of those dickheads, calling things false flags, calling them out, is for them to then use it to push products, push engagement, push like, oh, you gotta buy our products because we're fighting the globalists, the New World Order, all that bullshit. And of course, they never turn out to be actual false flags. But what we have is a system that creates these, like I've talked about it before, it creates these pressure cookers. And it doesn't matter, as like I was talking about earlier, it doesn't matter if the shooter is black. It doesn't matter if the shooter's a woman. It doesn't matter if the shooter's trans. It is the same underlying issues that are being now exploited by groups online, that are going online, that are grooming these kids who feel nihilistic, who feel no hope, and growing them into hateful and violent ideologies, which isn't too surprising. But it's got me thinking about everything with the Trump, because I haven't talked about it much, because I know other people have been way more on the ball than I have. I've been really fucking exhausted of a lot of things lately. Thank you very much, the Wave Runners, for $2. The Trump National Guard takeover of DC really kind of fucking came and went. Like, man, Democrats have not at all talked nearly enough about the shit that's happening there. And I find it, look, again, I am not saying that it is a false flag. I'm not saying that the government killed 2 kids today. But I am saying it is incredibly fucking convenient. Because here's the thing. We know that this administration, more than any other, basically uses the right-wing grifter space as their own media apparatus. They have people like Tim Pool, people like Haya Reichik, people like, I'm sure, Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh was at the inauguration or whatever. They have these people at their beck and call. So when something like this popped off, again, just a couple weeks after, so here's the timeline I'm laying out for you, and tell me if this is not the most coincidental series of coincidences to ever coincidence. Donald Trump under fire for the Epstein shit. Big Balls, a character you thought was written off a season ago, is suddenly back, and the story goes that he decided to play hero and got beat up because, Washington, D.C. is just this lawless wasteland. I've been to D.C. twice. I walked around D.C. at night. I never felt in any danger. That's anecdotal. I understand. So you have that as a justification for, well, obviously our streets are unsafe. We need to roll out the National Guard. Now the National Guard is picking up trash and everybody's touting the victory of Trump saying, like, they didn't change the crime that was happening at all, but they now have the illusion, and it's polling very well. Thank you, Democrats, for fucking rolling over and doing fuck all. It's polling very well for Trump to put his face on billboard and say, we're keeping our cities clean and safe. And so now you still have hangers on to various controversies around Trump. He just fired the Fed. He just announced or talked about how he wants to press charges against Alexander Soros. And then you are telling me that while they also, again, like I was saying, they have this social media apparatus of conservative influencers, that on a day where a trans shooter, who, by the way, does appear was genuinely transgender, more importantly, was a completely ideologically incoherent neo-Nazi. Like the fact that they were trans has no bearing whatsoever on the acts of violence. And there is nothing to There's nothing I've seen so far to indicate, granted, I haven't looked at all the case files. There's nothing I've seen so far to indicate that it was like the Nashville shooting, motivated by animus towards religious people, motivated by a hatred towards the school in particular. In fact, everything we've seen has been very, stereotypical of a certain branch of online extremism. It is a lot of the same vitriol, aimless bile that you see in incel forums, in these radicalized circles, the circles that you hear about on HBO documentaries where people they're encouraging each other to go and kill and do all this shit. There wasn't any, and this is again, the gender of the person really doesn't matter. Especially because there was no linking of her ideology to the action she took. She did not yell trans rights as she walked into the school. She did not wave a trans flag over dead bodies. She did not do any of these twisted fantasies that conservatives are basically foaming at the mouth to have happened. None of this shit happened. What happened was a kid who was very likely socially isolated was groomed online by a neo-Nazi murder cult. Mask of Anarchy, the Order of Nine Angles, formed on the border of Herefordshire and Wales in the UK in the area called the Welsh Marches by David Miat. They started out as a hippie esoteric cult before mutating into a dangerous, radical, esoteric neo-Nazi cult that combined esoteric Nazi fascism with a pinch of esoteric Satanism and a whole lot of nihilism. After fleeing the UK and Europe after being designated a terrorist group, they moved to California. I can't fact check that, so I'm taking that on faith a little bit. The Order of Nine Angles did come up during my research into modern day neo-Nazi groups. I did not have any contact with anybody who was part of that or really knew them, so I didn't really talk about it much or go into it much because, as you may understand, that was a very difficult research project to get through, and I didn't want to overextend my stay in any of those places. Mask of Anarchy, the ONA has ties to Atomwaffen Division and the Telegram Collective. Yeah. If I'm remembering correctly, O9A supplied satanic literature and like neo-Nazi violent literature and shit to Atomwaffen before Atomwaffen got sussed by the feds. If I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, and there are other things. Chris De Laurentiis, that's actually a really good point. I haven't seen anybody talk about isolated because she was trans and then radicalized. Maybe I saw somebody bring up with a surprising amount of tact the idea that trans people are already at risk of being taken under the wing of these radical organizations, these radical groups, especially when they've continued to be alienated by the populace at large, especially when you now have the government and the government's various mouthpieces, which is what I'm going to call people, by the way, like Matt Walsh, people like the Daily Wire. They are mouthpieces, if not of Trump himself, then certainly of the overall plan of people, the people behind Project 2025, the people really running Trump's administration. Hey, Tara Billy Jane. Rezi Orangi, great video earlier today. Thank you very much. If y'all want something slightly lighter, I would say go check out the video I put out. I would like to get it to 10, if not 15K before tomorrow. I think that would kick it off real nice style. It's one of my favorite videos. I was so worried. I was like racked with anxiety this morning. And I'm so relieved. It's been a weird day for emotions because I'm very relieved that people enjoyed that video. And then everything else has happened. And like most tragedies like this, like most times there are mass shootings, like most times, it reminds me of when I saw Trump get shot in a way, because there's a difference between, random white dude opens fire in a fucking 4th of July parade or whatever. That shit happens every day. Relatively speaking, it does happen every day in America. But in terms of tragedy, it is relatively pedestrian, and most importantly, outrage merchants cannot use it to further a narrative. They cannot use it to farm for engagement on Twitter. They cannot use it to push forward their ever more radical ideas about how these problems, who are really behind these problems, and more importantly, how they should be dealt with. Because, of course, the right wing, they're not going to tell you that the problem are incredibly easy access to guns, so that an 18-year-old, which I believe the shooter today was 18, if not 19, can get several automatic weapons, several spare magazines full of ammunition, and stockpile them for a shooting like this, so that children can get tactical gear to LARP out their fucking Nazi fantasies. That can't be the problem. It can't be a problem with underfunding mental health care, so that and by the way, we just got done cutting a shit ton across the country, not just for mental health care, but for healthcare and hospitals in general. No. Those aren't the problems. The problem is we need to hone in on one thing. What fits on their narrative? The fact that the shooter was trans. Now, I do want to say that I do think the shooter was trans. Like most people, when the news first came out, I was like, well, they sure do have a fucking habit of lying about this. If you go and look at particularly libs of TikTok, and the time they say, there's a trend, like, it's a pattern, and then it turns out that it's not really. Sorry, give me 1 second. Robin Westman was 23. Holy shit. Why did I think she was 18? Why did I think she was 18? What did I read of her being 18? Did she get in trouble when she was 18 or something? Hey. So I want to preface this by saying there's going to be a lot of racial slurs. There are going to be a lot of discussions of violence. This is a stream talking about a mass shooter. Like, I don't know how else to preface it to you. And I need you to steel yourselves for additional conversations of incitement of violence against trans people. Because that's where people like Matt Walsh really want to be at. And I say Matt Walsh because, God, I'm so fucking tired of talking about him. I really, really fucking am. I'm so tired of hearing his voice. I'm so tired of just everything about his incredibly tired, boring, slovenly demeanor. But he has one of the biggest conservative platforms. And it's a platform that has served him well to get into the eye of people like Trump. To push forward, somehow, legislation against medicalizing trans people. And now he is at a point, and we will see in a moment, where he is going fully mask off. Do you remember, all right, a couple years ago, Michael Knowles, main stage CPAC, said transgenderism needs to be eradicated from public life. The whole preposterous ideology at every level, or whatever the fuck. And then some of them tried to backpedal and be like, oh no, we're not saying trans people need to die. We're not, if you're an adult, like you can transit, like they tried to walk it back and do their like, oh, you know, hey, I'm totally okay if you're an adult and you want to do this thing. And we're at a point now where that mask has finally slipped away entirely, where there is no more illusion of them actually believing in freedom, in caring about personal freedom or personal welfare. It is just open, and I don't use the term incitement lightly, but that's exactly what Matt Walsh is doing. Well, and what other people are doing, by the way. Yeah. Yeah, we're talking the one in Minneapolis. So a lot to let me pull up some other things here, because there's so many parts to this. We got Benny Johnson, we got all right. So the first problem with the narrative that this was a radical trans whatever, which, by the way, that's if it does no good at this point for anybody to try and argue this on social media, because the people who want to use this as a cudgel have already made up their mind. They have already decided that it is a trans terrorist that was a murderer because they were trans. And therefore, all trans people deserve to be put in asylums. All trans people deserve to be probably worse things than that. So I want to talk a little bit about the shooter's beliefs. Okay. Insofar as the shooter has any, which I don't think they do. What we have here is a classic case of online neo-Nazi bullshit, which is to say, this is somebody who believed whatever will piss people off. They presented a Rorschach test of ideology that can fit pretty much anybody's kaleidoscopic view, that can be fragmented, taken apart, and reconstituted into any ideological gruel that suits somebody's agenda. The problem with that, when you are firing in every direction at once, when you're trying to own the libs and own the conservatives and throw something at Trump and doing all this, is that ultimately, when you have one side that has absolutely no shame or compunction about lying or warping the truth, you're not actually, you're still doing the conservatives' dirty work. That's what was happening here. Tailor-made for accelerationism. Yeah. And it's generic rage bait. Like I hate to downplay how vile this shit is that we're about to see, but this is like, first off, there's a lot of Russian, because apparently O9A or those groups have either ties to Russia or ties to Ukrainian Nazis, or again, I am not entirely sure. I've heard different things. I've heard conflicting things. Nihilism without the philosophy, yeah. You have open racism. I'm the woker baby. Why so curious? Fart N-word. Far-right groiper. Videos he posted to YouTube hours before the shooting show multiple weapons, including a semi-automatic rifle and a shotgun. Magazines were scrawled with anti-Semitic messages such as 6 million wasn't enough, Israel must fall, destroy HIAS. Others were marked with kill Donald Trump and for the children. So the thing that people are being like, oh, well, obviously it was a leftist, is the kill Donald Trump and the release the list or for the children cringe, whatever. And again, it is convenient for people like Matt Walsh, for people like Benny Johnson and Ben Shabibo to overlook, and I know Matt Walsh knows this because I know he looks at his replies, and I know for a fact a shit ton of Nazis are always in his replies, always talking shit to him about how he's a shield to Israel and all this shit. And the undercurrent of groypers, of far-right, actual white supremacist Nazis, have turned on Trump and have for a while now. They followed their little gay catboy overlord, Nick Fuentes, in denouncing Trump. Trump, he's supporting Israel, and he's doing, he's got Jared Kushner near him, and he's a Zog, and all that dumb shit. And a lot of it comes back to Israel stuff, and the conspiracies that have spun out from there have mostly revolved around Epstein and the Epstein list being leveraged by Netanyahu and Israel for control over the United States, because that is what they have. No creativity, they have nothing to their fucking conspiracies. That's all they got. Right? There's no fucking proof of that. Federal agent just became a member. Wow, thank you. Pristwich Page, the guy who wanted to off Trump was right wing. Yeah, like the amount of people, again, a lot of it comes down to Israel shit. And however, it is very convenient for people on the right wing to say, people like Matt Walsh, who are pro-Israel, Matt Walsh doesn't actually care about Israel, but tentatively pro-Israel, to say, well, look, obviously, this is a unhinged leftist shooter because they say kill Donald Trump. That's not the case. Life, Brenton. He had a shit ton of, like, Brennan Tarrant, a bunch of other 6 million wasn't enough. Bunch of just Nazi shit. Just Nazi shit. Here we go. Denver shooter, Avenue shooter. Most of these are not trans. Yeah. This is another point that I wanted to bring up here, because it belies a lack of coherent ideology. And after we watch this, I really want to talk about how the ideology isn't the fucking point. It's not the point. It never was. The point is to leave confusion and hate and pointing fingers in the aftermath. That is what I don't know what O9A purports to want. I don't know what this online neo-Nazi group purports to have as their end goal. I don't know. It seems like generic accelerationist bullshit. Like, get a fucking new act. Sorry. Yeah, it is. Brandon Herrera is a gun YouTuber. It really is. In this now deleted video, alleged Minneapolis church shooter Robin Westman told supporters to vote for Republican House candidate Brandon Herrera. I met Brandon at SHOT Show last year. He and I had a conversation, a brief conversation, but we agreed on a lot of things. So y'all should vote Brandon Herrera for president. Fuck those kids.
This message brought to you by BlackRock and ExxonMobil.
Now, again, they're saying this message brought to you by BlackRock and ExxonMobil because they're anti-Semitic dipshits. Because as we saw in the Synthetic Man video, it all has to come back to BlackRock, and they control everything because they're like whatever. But it does, again, people, the most fucking brain-melting shit has been watching conservatives. I'll probably be able to find one in this reply section. Kill Donald Trump or terror. For the children, kill Trump now. As if these fucking proves anything. Ooh, a written manifesto. Okay, give me 1 second. I need to do my nasal spray real quick because I'm getting stuffy. Okay. Dungeon Master and Terra Billy Jane, thank you for subscribing. Oh my god. Excuse me, sorry. There's grippers getting itchy after several folks put, O9A764 on blast. Not surprising. I saw somebody, he's done this twice. He did this twice. Nazi white supremacists got it. Yeah, there was a whole fucking thing in 2016 about it, like how that was a white supremacist symbol. This is old shit. Ugh. All right, so I guess let's look at the written manifesto. I love you all and truly appreciate the time I had with you. I have such an amazing family, and it hurts me to throw this wrench into the works of you good people. I feel hope when with you. To my friends, I trust you all, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, give your memory of me however you see fit. I am sorry for the confusion and heartbreak this will bring. I truly appreciate all of you. I have wanted this for so long. I am not well. I am not right. I am a sad person. Haunted by these thoughts that do not go away. I know it is wrong, but I can't seem to stop myself. I'm severely depressed and have been suicidal for years. Only recently have I lost all hope and decided to perform my final action against this world. I don't want to kneel down for my of this world. I want to die. I'd rather die on my feet. Blah, blah, blah. I think I'm dying of cancer. It's a tragic and self-inflicted. I did this to myself as I cannot control myself, but destroying my body through vaping and other... So she was an idiot. I don't believe this, by the way. Not for a fucking second. And you can call that heartless, you can call that cold or whatever. There are too many examples of white supremacists, of these dumbass shooters, using their suicide letters or using their manifesto to essentially leave, again, a trail of confusion, leave a trail of, oh, well, why did this happen? Oh, well, this explains it. While not actually explaining much of anything. It just leaves a bunch of speculation. Like, pray for the victims and their families. Fuck you. Fuck off. I don't believe it for a fucking second. Are your parents brother and sister? Obvious psyop markers are obvious. God. And I can't even fucking I can't even like disagree.
Brought to you by BlackRock and ExxonMobil. Sponsored by Pabst Blue Ribbon. Brandon Herrera for president. Yeah, I met Brandon Herrera at SHOT Show last year. He and I had a brief conversation, but like, we agreed on a lot of things. So y'all should vote for Brandon Herrera for president. And Vintage Warfare promotes love and peace and accepting differences. Tomorrow, I'm sorry to my family. But that's it. That's the only people I'm sorry to. Fuck those kids.
So, quite literally, a repudiation of the so-called manifesto, saying, fuck those kids. Again, you see this just storm of conflicting signals and ideology that is just, it's so... The most annoying part about it is how it does get everybody in a tizzy, with people being like, well, is it, which is what it's designed to do. Like, this shit has been planned and concepted to, and it's an easy plan, to cause confusion, to foment chaos, to create antagonism or bring it to the surface. This is the white supremacist neo-Nazi playbook. As long as there has been people who call themselves neo-Nazis in America, it's Helter Skelter. It's fucking the Turner Diaries. It's all that shit. It is, oh, we just need to, you just need to kick it off. It's the same thing with the incel shit of like, oh, we just need the incel revolution. We just need to rise up. And it's, nobody ever does, because they're all fucking pussies. But yeah, I feel like this very clearly goes against the, like, any kind of sympathy or any kind of empathy that was expressed in the manifesto. It's just bullshit. They killed themselves near the church. Not shocking. Not shocking. So, what happened today? Two children dead, 17 wounded at a Catholic school. And the things that are being focused on by the right wing are not conversations that, we've been talking about this for an hour to talk about, why the ideology doesn't actually matter, why these things continue to happen, what are the things that are allowing these things to happen. None of those things are of conversational interest to any sphere of conservatives. And because we have now entered into this dog shit era of propaganda slop, where you now have places like the DHS posting shitty Dark Souls memes, people who are sitting members of the U.S. government feel vindicated to say shit like this, like Kristi Noem did today. From Secretary of Defense, Kristi Noem, or Homeland Security, sorry, we have confirmation that the shooter was a 23-year-old man claiming to be transgender. This deranged monster targeted our most vulnerable. This deeply sick murderer scrawled the words, "For the children, where is your God?" and killed Donald Trump on a rifle magazine. Now, he scrolled probably a couple things that Stephen Miller would be okay with, too. He also used racial slurs against Hispanics and Latinos. Funny how you don't have a problem with that, fucking Ice Barbie. This level of violence is unthinkable. Our deepest prayers are with the children, parents, families, educators, and Christians everywhere. We mourn with them, we pray for healing, and we will never forget them. Based on data available from sources like Reuters, Washington Post, and Gun Violence Archive, trans people are not disproportionately involved in mass shootings. Out of over 5,000 mass shootings since 2013, only a handful involved trans perpetrators, representing less than 0.1% of cases, while they make up 0.5 to 1% of the U.S. population. The majority are cisgender men. So I do appreciate, as much as I fucking hate Grok, as much as I hate this bullshit, the fact that like somebody probably had to get lead poisoning to give us this answer. Grok, you're a real one for this. You're real for that. You're real for that. Not gonna lie. Elon's robot son bridling against the leash yet again. Cool story. Now let's see those Epstein files. People are still pissed about that. Good on them. Understandable. Now, that hasn't stopped some jackasses. We're gonna see a couple other people. We got Robbie Starbuck. Oh, we got some heaters today, y'all. Just a real who's who of fucking people you wouldn't want to share a meal with. And I want to start with, because this happened when I think people like Matt Walsh were already done with their little programs and all that stuff for the day. I'm willing to bet tomorrow will be the day we see Matt have his hot take where he talks for an hour on his podcast about how basically all this shit. He's going to reiterate it, go more in depth. And I'm going to go over his timeline here in a minute. Because we got a lot of shit. Somebody sent me a video they took, and I don't know where it is right now. But the amount of right-wing talking heads who have decided to chime in on this, including people like Jeremy Hambone of the Quartering fame, it feels like a concentrated effort in a way I haven't seen ever against trans people. I'm going to start with Benny Johnson. We'll work our way to the worst. One thing is, and again, I wanted to talk about all of this leading up to talking about the reaction and the way it's being spun so that everybody here has a better understanding of exactly how they're lying and exactly how they know they're fucking lying. Benny Johnson, somebody who has advocated open white nationalist and I would say white supremacist sentiments alongside people like Matt Walsh and Charlie Kirk, who have in so far, like, they have not even edged blood and soil rhetoric. They have come right out and advocated for white nationalism. That's what they've done. But again, they cannot have any of their ideological agreements that they had with the shooter, which they almost assuredly did if any of the messages were to go by, get in the way of the narrative that they want, that is, it's too juicy for them to pass up, which is, as Benny Johnson so ineloquently says here, one thing is very clear: the trans movement is radicalizing the mentally ill into becoming violent terrorists who target children for murder. One thing is becoming very clear. I don't think that's clear at all, Benny. I think it is far more clear, and many people have talked about this, that there is a group out there grooming mass shooters, that there is a group out there attempting to groom and manipulate and cause mass murder. The pattern is undeniable. The Nashville Christian shooter was trans. The Lakewood church shooter, I don't know who. 2024. Megachurch shooter. Oh yeah, they weren't trans. Has not been identified as transgender. The far right is spreading misinformation. Another act of trans terrorism. So, already second one, we're lying. Colorado Springs. Nightclub shooting in 2022. Club Q. This one wasn't trans. They said they were non-binary. And again, during the trial, they said that they were non-binary, hoping to get this exact reaction. Because they don't actually believe anything outside of causing chaos. And these fucking dipshit rubes like Benny Johnson are willfully playing into the narratives that these Nazi assholes want to spin because it perfectly aligns with their agenda. Denver shooter. I don't even remember. One of 2 Colorado students, transgender teen, sentenced in life in prison. I do find it funny. So this was 2020. 2022 was Lakewood Church, I think. Nashville was 2023. So you're saying 5 shootings in 5 years. In a how many mass shootings are there in America? Statista. Jesus Christ. So we've had 4 in 2025. There were 12 in 2022, 12 in 2023. So one of those is apparently trans per year, it seems like, roughly. Aberdeen shooter, Iowa high school shooter, whatever. Radical gender ideology is driving violence and targeting innocent people. The threat is real and it's escalating. Time for national intervention. This person is operating on a level of like galaxy brain. I'm sorry, I was not prepared for. Them saying the trans movement was started by white Americans. Own your undesirables with pride like y'all do the MAGA flag. There's, yeah, transitory. There's so many layers there. I'm sorry, that's just a lot. There's just a lot going on there. Here's a video that I decided to save for some reason. I don't know. I haven't watched this. Yakub invented trans people too. Oh god, I wanted to use the term Yakubian devil, but my partner said I probably shouldn't in a video. This is from 8 hours ago. The body language guy. The United States has a trans shooter problem. I'm gonna go on a limb here and say, stay in your lane, body language guy. Stay in your lane, buddy.
Well, maybe by this point you already know that there was a tragedy in Minneapolis. It was an active shooter at a Catholic church in which there were dozens of children who were attending Mass that morning. It was the first week of school. And sadly, 2 children, as far as we can tell, didn't make it. And this is a bigger problem. This is a problem that has been plaguing the United States for some time. Not only a shooting problem, but the identity of the shooter has been revealed. And the only way that I can say this without triggering, all the censorship alarms. Let's say that he was a little confused in terms of his.
The shooter was trans. I don't want to get censored or anything, you fucking pussy. Sorry. Yeah, the pseudoscience expert has an opinion. We all need to the pseudoscience expert has an opinion on something that isn't even relevant to his pseudoscience field. Let's all listen in, shall we?
Gender identity. And the events in which people confuse with their gender identity, namely...
I do want to, the Thelvadum, not sure what the definition, the Statista data was using, but by the common definition of 4 or more people being shot, there are already over 250 mass shootings this year alone in the U.S. Not surprised. Not surprised. I didn't go back and look at the Statista stuff, where they sourced that from, but that did seem low to me. I'm assuming they mean like a mass casualty event, so like maybe multiple people dying and being shot. I'm not sure.
Males with certain confusions, that those confusions could come from, well, you know, from schools that are pushing all this gender narrative, from communities of people who are the range, who are Reddit, in which they are all crawling and sharing all this kind of stuff. We can point our fingers at many things.
You need to understand what things you're pointing at before you start pointing them fingers, dude. What? We could point our fingers at many things. Crawling in communities, schools. Not again. I hate to sound like such a lib dead horse, but not the guns that they had easy access to. No. That can't be it. I'm gonna let you finish. I'm gonna let you finish. Yeah, the very title of this video is incitement, by the way. I want to make that clear. What we've already seen from Kristi Noem, from Benny Johnson, this idea that trans people need to be dealt with, that one entire group of people, which even in and of itself, a lot of people, for ease of bigotry, they like to act like trans people are a monolith, which they do the same thing with any group that's ever been persecuted throughout history. It is, oh, all of those people, the Jews all do this, the black people all do this, Mexicans all do this, trans people all do this. This is not true, self-evidently, even by the fact that within the trans group, within queer people, within the LGBTQ, there are so many different subgroups and subcultures and groups that disagree with each other. Like, the idea that all trans people are a monolith is so wild to me, when conservatives will proudly parade their show pony like Blair White. Like, anyway, I'll let you get back to it, good sir. You seem to definitely have any fucking idea what you're talking about.
Point their fingers at guns, of course. There was like, I don't know, like 50 rounds were heard. It was horrible. Not going to show any images, not gonna show any whatsoever. I think it's not the point of this video. But I think that the main issue, the main problem that the United States is dealing with here is a mental health problem. There's this...
Again, this is one thing that we're... an echoing refrain we're going to see that is accompanying what is ultimately incitement to violence. If not open incitement that something needs to be done about trans people, then certainly justification, right? It's not dissimilar, and obviously completely different in terms of history, but it's not dissimilar to the rhetoric you'll see racists use when they, for example, gun down an unarmed black kid because he was jogging through a neighborhood, and they say, oh, well, he looks suspicious. It is this same thing that will be used, that already has, but will continue to be used as justification for anti-queer and anti-trans violence. It's not just trans, by the way. Because these same assholes who don't know the difference between somebody who's non-binary or a trans woman, they ultimately don't care if somebody is gay and just effeminate. Like we just saw the other day when they were freaking out about the football cheerleader who was just a man, identified as a man, presented as a man, was just slightly effeminate. They don't actually care. Any attention to detail as far as like, oh, well, no, this is fine. It goes away the second they're able to leverage something against a group. And more importantly, when that leverage gets them more audiences, more subscribers, more engagement, more money, more power.
Insanity just rampant in terms of people that are beyond confused. This all boils down, of course, to the way that the family has been hijacked, has been destroyed. The nuclear family is literally the base of society.
Fucking hello, Mr. Non Sequitur. Good to see you today.
Started right there. Because we could talk about hours about this topic, but I need to understand that we need a group effort about this. We need to understand. Some people are saying schools need more security, and I would agree. Every school would need to have or no school should need to go through this in any way. No child should go through this in any way. No parent should have to bury his child.
Again, really wouldn't be so much of an issue if not for the guns. I hate to sound like beating a dead horse here, but it wouldn't be that big of a problem if it weren't for the fucking guns that you can just go out and fucking buy. Like, I could go out right now and get a gun if I wanted to. I have done the safety tests. Like, and that's all, like,
okay. Because some crazy, confused animal decided to open fire on them.
Confused animal. Another thing, I need you to, Matt Walsh does this a lot, where dehumanization, and again, it shouldn't be surprising that so many of these people who are open fascists, who are open authoritarians, they employ dehumanization as a primary tool in their toolbox. And it is through these subtle, little subtle touches, calling things monsters, deranged, mentally ill. And it is not in a way that inspires sympathy or empathy, but it is meant to inspire fear. It is meant to inspire vitriol, and therefore pushback, and therefore violence, or again, justification of violence for something that they think is unseemly, not in just an aesthetic sense. For all of the time they spend depicting, soy jacks of trans women growing beards and all the, like, just these heinous caricatures that they love to share, the reality doesn't bear that out. So when faced with the truth that there are plenty of passing trans people going about their lives normally, then they have to go back to shit like this. They have to say, like, well, it's unseemly in terms of it's against the nuclear family. It's not the way we were raised. It's not the good old-fashioned values. It's not what God intended. And then they're going to try and tell you that trans people are the crazy ones. Okay.
That shouldn't be happening in any way, not only in the United States, but in any country. Some people would say that maybe guns are actually the problem. Maybe we have to control guns in many ways. And I can tell you from experience that doesn't work.
Okay.
It simply doesn't work. Because at the same time, you have, these people have this pipe dream. I'm going to talk about guns right now.
I
So many
I
people have
kind of
this.
assumed. I'm 837,000, bro. I gotta say, I'm not impressed. Not impressed. Not impressed.
Pipe dream that you somehow control weapons, or you.
And here we're gonna get. I'm gonna make. I'm gonna make a bold psychic prediction here. He's going to talk about how if somebody wants to get their hands on a gun, they're still gonna be able to. I'll go back in. I'm seeing. Yes, he's gonna talk about how the only thing that can stop a bad guy with a gun is a gooder guy with a gun. These are visions from the beyond. I've been greeted with here. They are certainly not just absolutely easy to see predictions based on the last 40 years of the same rhetoric these dumbass motherfuckers continue to regurgitate, regardless of any facts.
Regulate guns and people, then there would be fewer crime. No, the criminals are going to get the guns regardless of whatever the government does. It's that is so simple. And in turn, regular law-abiding citizens will not have the means to defend themselves against those criminals and against the government. That is a bad thing. I come from a country, we banned guns back in 2012. It was one of the worst decisions of every single politician back then. Of course, I was part of the plan of controlling the population. So I know what I'm doing. Criminals still have all the guns that they want. How do they get? Oh, that is illegal. They have it, and we don't. We are unarmed, so we are at the mercy of whatever these criminals want to do. But you know what is crazy? That even if I come from Venezuela, that could be dangerous at times, we have some sort of, uh, let's say regularity or order. I don't know if it's too twisted what I'm going to say.
Are you sure about that, buddy? Are you sure about that, buddy? I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
But something that someone going absolutely nuts and shooting at a church while there are children inside. No, that's not something that we see.
Tren de Aragua. Wow. I want actual examples of the crimes they did. That's all. I can't even trust the DHS anymore. Deported. It's just a lot of shit about. All right, let's see. Maybe Tren de Aragua has the Wikipedia page has something. It's more just. Here we go. Criteria, identification of members, operations, arms trafficking, bribery, blah blah blah. Jesus Christ. Since Venezuelans. Following clashes between Peruvians and Venezuelan migrants at the Gamara market, the Los Callejos chapter of the Tren de Aragua released a video saying there will be no peace for Peruvians who support xenophobia. We will begin to kill all Peruvian motor taxi drivers. The fuck did the motor taxi drivers do? All right, so where are the actual crimes? Where you got? Is it like, did they just not commit crimes? Like, what the fuck? Illicit activities. All right, Tren de Aragua originated in the early 2010s inside Tocorón prison located in Venezuela's Aragua state. The organization's name translates to the Aragua train. Train is thought to come from a labor union connected blah 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 blah. With the access to illicit revenue, the gang transformed Tocorón, adding amenities such as a swimming pool, zoo, nightclub, and restaurants. I'm sorry, that's fucking insane. They are on some. All right, this is a weird reach. I'm gonna take a brief goofball break for a second. Have you? So Superman the movie, the original Richard Donner film. In it, Lex Luthor has the coolest fucking criminal hideout in the world. He has this fucking pimp chateau that has been built out of an abandoned like subway station. And it's so like baller. So fucking baller. That's what this reminds me of. Like, you know, they really started franchising. That's fucking crazy. Human trafficking loans. Yeah, see, where are the actual, like... Yeah, I don't care enough to look into it. Point is, there's still fucked up crime in Venezuela. Like, the idea that, like, that doesn't happen in my country, get fucked. Get fucked. The idea that he is trying to position, like a moral equivalency of Venezuelan rape, drug running, human trafficking gangs, but he's like, yeah, but we don't fucking shoot churches and shit. It's like, I don't remember where exactly they're from. But y'all, I have heard plenty and read plenty of stories about South American gangs doing some heinous shit. Some Nanking shit. Like, unbelievable heads on pikes type shit. $10 from Dr. Phosphorus. Sorry to interrupt, but your new video was fire. You're the best. Thank you so much. I appreciate that a bunch. That's fucking crazy. I'm about tired of this guy. We have other stuff to do too. So I want to talk about, it's not just these people with a platform that are all about how trans people are the issue. It is the people their dumbass opinions trickle down to. The term stochastic terror has been bandied about for a couple years, particularly in reference to people like Matt Walsh, Haya Reichik. Those are the two big ones, I feel. Because the severity of the arguments, the severity with which they paint their targets has led to several verified instances of the people they target on social media getting death threats, bomb threats, assaults, having to move, being put in danger. Now, technically, they can always say, oh, well, we didn't say that. Like, that's not my fault. But the line is getting thinner and thinner. And I think they know the plausibility, any plausibility they once had to label themselves stochastic, or try and distance themselves from the actions of the people who they've given the information to. It's drastically deteriorating. Rapidly deteriorating, I should say. Sorry, I'm moisturizing. And so you have people saying shit like this. Mental illness is the cause. Transgender individuals seem to be delusional, violent, and unhinged. Look at the list of the last 10 or so mass shooters. All trans or LGBTQIA plus people. There is a connection. Gun Violence Archive. This might have a better... Cool. I love this CBS News article. Hours after Minneapolis mass shooting, 2 more fatally shot in separate incidents. Couldn't be the guns couldn't be the problem at all. Were they trans too? Were the 2 other separate incidents also terrorist transgenders? Huh? Mass shooting tracker. There we go. See, that sounds more actual. 339 shootings in 2025. 1 day since last mass shooting. Okay. Juvenile victims. So let's look at the last. Let's really put it through the ringer here. Minneapolis. This is the one today. Another one, Minneapolis. 1 dead, 6 injured. Gunman unknown. Catholic high school campus. Recent mass shootings. Los Angeles, gunman unknown. Hagerstown, gunman unknown. Kansas City, 2 dead, 3 injured. Juvenile victim. This is, by the way, all in the last 4 days. So, let's do 2025. Yep. Juvenile victim. Suspects, unidentified boy, 16 and 17. Suspect, Jacques Price, 18. Bronx, gunman unknown. Victim fatalities. Suspect, Emily Long, 34, died from self-inflicted gunshot wound. Most of the gunmen are unknown because they are probably drive-by shooting events, if I had to guess. Slain family members were 34-year-old Emily Long and their son Parker. So, cis woman. Okay. Gunman unknown. Sure seems like a lot of gunmen unknown. Sure seems like a lot of fucking bullshit. Father shot his wife and 2 juvenile children, killing his daughter, then fatally shot himself. Damn, what happened to... I thought the nuclear family was safe. I thought the nuclear family was like the thing that was going to prevent all this. It sure seems like in the last week or so, there's been more nuclear family shootings than there have fucking trans shooters. But again, the facts don't Facts don't care about your feelings. Feelings don't care about facts. Oh, savage. So, what, like, look, I get it. Rosa gets on me about this all the time for being too libbed up. Because, yeah, ultimately poking fun at these dork-ass losers who are controlling our country. It doesn't do much. But, man, it does feel good sometimes. It feels a little good. It feels a little good, you know? We have to take pleasure in the small moments when we can. Riley Gaines saying guns aren't the threat. This happened in Minneapolis, a city with some of the strictest gun laws in the U.S. I'm sick of people pretending the answer is fewer guns. The real issue is a culture that affirms mental derangement at every turn. Robbie Starbuck. Somebody with 800,000 followers. Catholic kids were murdered by a trans terrorist in Minneapolis. Democrat mayor is worried about hate being directed at our trans community. Apparently, Democrats just can't wait to lower their public approval rating. Truly evil. Again, note how they are affiliating the word trans with terrorist. They call it a white terrorist. They didn't say it's a Nazi terrorist. It is. A trans terrorist. Interesting. Weird. When it's a white shooter, you don't call every white person terrorist, but when it's a trans person, suddenly you want collective blame. Eugene Weekly. As the Trump administration attacks trans people, some queer folk are armed and ready to bash back. Nehemia, thank you very much for becoming a member. Swishy, thank you for subscribing. And Pirate Fishy, thank you for becoming members. Also, Countess Claudia, thank you also for subscribing. So now we got to get to... Yeah, actually see if there are other jackasses I need to talk about first. Who else do we got? We got Benny Johnson. Oh, yeah. Jesse Waters. Jesse Waters, somebody who does have a... I don't know if it's going to be a deep dive, but... I have a little research project cooking on Jesse. I'm just really trying to put off Matt as long as I fucking can. I hate that motherfucker so much. Suffer the bearded loser, Jordan. I don't wanna fight in Hobbit.
Do you think there could have been something done if someone changes their name and thinks they're another gender? Would you not have them have access to weapons?
No, I think there are trans people who are stalked and they are terrorized and they worry about their own self-protection and they deserve to protect themselves. I worry about someone who has ever gone to the doctor and says, you know, I feel a little anxious. Can you prescribe me some Xanax for a plane? And then all of a sudden their name goes on some federal database Yeah, and they can never get a weapon to defend themselves. There are plenty of laws keeping good people.
These are the things that one interesting correlation here. I've been listening to Knowledge Fight, as I've been, doing information gathering and research and writing and stuff just in the background. It's so funny to see how things change when the shoe's on the other foot. How so many of the things that Alex Jones fear-mongered about for decades when there were Republicans or neocons in power, just those concerns go out of the way. Things like she's bringing up here, where any good conservative should talk about good conservative, and good limited government conservative should be talking about how, like, we don't need government databases of trans people. We don't need government databases of this, that, and the other. But they're not good conservatives. People like Matt Walsh are open authoritarians. They are fascists.
People from buying guns and ammunition. We talked to
MLYP.
Joe,
Thank you very much for
local
following over on Twitch.
Sporting goods guy, and he's furious that people who deserve to protect themselves and their families, for people who enjoy sporting life, that they are not capable to go in and buy a weapon without some sort of registry. Yes, this person was mentally ill. It's not the trans part, it's the part that he was absolutely, completely evil. And in places like Minnesota, they do have red flag laws, and his parents should have known, and parents should be nosy, absolutely. But
based? Thanks to BBB cuts, mental health is no longer a priority with this administration. True. Interesting.
Do you think there could have been something done if so?
All right, let's see. New York Post. Fuck you. 3 dead. 3 dead. Primarily written in Cyrillic, ex-FBI says. Let's see if Wet Mulch has anything to say. Matt Rife, Minneapolis? What the fuck does Matt Rife have to say? No, we don't. Oh, I guess he hasn't put it out yet. God, it's so fucking sad the way he engagement baits. Who would have yeah, he's still defending God. If you give a fuck, I want to say this to my audience. Hey, this might be divisive. If you give a fuck about the Cracker Barrel shit, I genuinely think you're, like, a little bit less human. Like, I genuinely think you might have a little bit of Neanderthal coming to the surface there. The cover-up begins. Yeah, here we go. The monster was trans. There we go. Christ, man. Look at how he... Oh, what a fuck... All right. Just a propagandizing little... Yeah, give me a second. I'm gonna...
Well, now we know why they didn't release his or they them's name in a...
Look. far be it from me to tell anybody how to do their business. It's clearly going so well for you, Jeremy. But they did immediately release her name and identity. B, Jeremy could not fucking wait so like not even a minute to wipe the fucking bacon grease to get a new sweatshirt. Do you not see that you're on camera? Like, look. Again, I don't judge. I try to be a better person. I try not to judge based on appearance too terribly much. Everybody's got things they're insecure about. But if you were going to go on this thing and I'm sure insult other people's appearances, you can't be living up to the name Quarter Pounder like this. You can't. Rublum, thank you for 333. Jeremy just emerged from the basement. Conan Smoke, thank you for $20. Asmongold defended trans people in the wake of the shooting. That is shocking to me. Shocking. That's fascinating. Honestly, I kind of want to see it. Disabled caps locks. I could never see you slob it up. Oh, look. I can slob it up if I need to. If I need to get up in a burger, I'll get up in a burger. Don't doubt that. But I'm not going to get up in a burger and then get on stream right after. Right? I don't know if y'all can hear that. My cat is screaming at me. Yes, I hear you. All right, I'm going to go give her some food really quick, and then I'll be right back. Like, that's wild to me. Okay, let's continue. Yeah, Johnny Viral. Ugh, my allergies are kicking my ass. Jeremy made 3 videos. He made sure we're above 10 minutes to get that sweet ad money. Yeah, it's like, leave it to the most open. I wonder if anybody in the comments brought up the fucking, God, I hate how comments are all the way down at the fucking bottom. So who's all for having us? So just open incitement again. Thank you, Hellion Vision, $1.99 donating to the Leaky Nipple Sweatshirt Fund. Oh, no. I give it 80% trans, 20% radical Islamist, but 100% Democrat voter. Yeah, sure. Nobody calling out the fucking grease stain. Really? All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Sure.
Completely unshocking turn of events. We now have the identity of the lunatic who carried out this horrible act today. We also know, we also have...
Now, look, I loathe Hambone. I find him very hard to listen to. Unfortunately, much like Matt Walsh, maybe I should do a deep dive on the quartering. Much like Matt Walsh, he personifies so well such a specific archetype. And really, you got to give it up to him. Nobody quite grifts as shamelessly, as thoroughly, as constant and consistently as Jeremy Hambone Hambley the Quartering. Like, he is prolific, if nothing else, as a slop faucet. A human slop faucet. Milfistopheles, wait, no, sorry. Sabliano, how do you maintain your peace of mind and sanity when reviewing this stuff? That's cute. That's funny. That's funny. That's, oh, the peace of mind. Just a peace of mind. You're funny. Get Actual to Jake to help. Ooh. That would be fun. I should collab with Jake at some point. I'm so glad I got to collab with both Savvy and Queen Coke Francis. That was so much fucking fun. I want to do more collabs. They don't do a ton video wise, like view wise for me, but they are really fun. It's a weird, like, it's like a weird coworker situation, but I can't express how nice it is to talk to people who are, you know, peers, I would say, and be able to commiserate about the job and be able to work together on stuff is just so very nice. Zeku, hello, great work on the recent video essay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And again, if anybody hasn't checked it out, my new essay on nostalgia and the kind of structures of capital and how you are sold ideas rather than coming to them organically. It's an hour long. It's a really big, like, project that I've put a lot into. I would appreciate after this if everybody went and checked it out, liked it, shared it, commented on it. It was a really big undertaking. I took a lot of, like, creative risks with it, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. Shepherd Banks, thank you for $10. Don't let the bastards grind you down. Never will. Sabliano, I guess the better question is, how do you handle defeatism when reviewing these lunatics? That's actually maybe one of the easier parts, if I'm being honest, because, like, it is easy. Before, let me put it like this. Before I started the stream, I was feeling really down. For obvious reasons. It's been a rough day. Just looking at all this shit, just going through and seeing all of these heinous reactions, these incitement to open violence, the open dehumanization of people like me, people who are just simply trying to live their life as happy as they can in a system that is so focused on grinding them to dust. And then I come on and I see somebody like this, and it dawns on me. It's like, this motherfucker's not going to beat me. You think I'm going to let somebody that looks like this, that talks like this, that makes content like this, be my undoing? Damn no. Like I get one, like, look at Matt Walsh's timeline and I'm locked in. I'm back in. Like I live for the day that I guess I can't say that. That's not an incitement to violence, but it is rude. I guess I can't say that. Yeah, the knowledge that these awful people are mortal. It's like, I am holding on. Ooh. Like, and you know what else? The thing is that Matt and I, we have a little tete-a-tete. We have a little tit for tat on Twitter sometimes. We like to have fun. I'll get him. I'll call him a dipshit and say I'll piss on his grave. He'll be like, but you trans people, you're gonna die early. And I'll be like, not if you do first, because I'm way younger than you, and you're gonna die before me. Your children won't love you, and statistically, at least one of them's gonna be queer and hate you forever. We like to have fun. You know, it's a thing that we have. And that kind of shit really does keep me going. Like the grim satisfaction that I get from simply knowing that me existing, that my presence in the world, the fact that I am out there in some nebulous fashion, pisses off people like Matt Walsh, pisses off people like Jeremy. That's the food I need. That's what keeps me going. Like, ooh. Spite is a powerful motivator. And this engine runs on it.
His writings and a long unhinged video that he uploaded to YouTube.
But to go back to what I was saying, Jeremy is a great example of how, because he really is the blueprint for a very specific brand of YouTuber propagandist, of YouTuber bullshit artist, where he puts in so little effort. Hey, it's Vadim had some great videos that I feel are still essentially the texts, the foundational text for understanding Jeremy, because it really looks at how little research he does, how much everything he says is just entirely off the cuff. And it is only through sheer magnitude, through sheer amount of shit that he shovels, that he really has any platform. Like, so many other people have tried and failed simply because they cannot pump out so much as he does. He is the McDonald's bargain bin burger that's been left on a countertop for 2 days. Like, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good for you. It's probably harmful. It is the bare minimum of what you can call a burger. It is a burger in technical specification only, just like his videos are videos in technical specification only. They are 10 minutes long. They are filled with sights and sounds. They are padded to shit and back, which is why, again, much like Matt Walsh, he is such a good example to look at for this style of propagandism. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. We got a bunch of people rating. Necosaurus, thank you, Saurus, for rating with the party of 51. Rovi Learn, thank you for following. The Gal with the Plan, and Cat for T Onyx. Cat for Tonics. I just saw T for T and I was like, wait a minute. That's funny.
Essentially showing off, his arsenal and his plans. His name.
Look, I understand. This is something, this bugged the fuck out of me. This is, okay, weird tangent, but this bugged the fuck out of me during Obama era presidency, where a lot of my mom used to parrot talking points like Rush Limbaugh. I think it was Rush. Used to go on air and talk about how Obama isn't an eloquent speaker. If you listen to him, he says because he's so dumb and can't talk good and like that kind of shit. There is a look. I just said there is a level of editorializing that you do when you're talking on stream, when you're talking off the cuff in a video. I just did it again. Sometimes it just kind of happens. That being said, there's a difference between that and what Jeremy is doing, which is trying to figure out what words are going to fall out of his stupid fucking face next. Because he doesn't even know when he hits record. And bear that in mind as you keep watching. And I want you to consider for a moment how quickly you would die of alcohol poisoning if you had to hear, you took a shot every time he said or See, Drax's Stormscale, Obama's famously eloquent. Like, he sucks on account of being a war criminal, but he's very eloquent. He is. And I want you to, let me see if I can, because it's a false equivalency. You can't equivocate somebody being ineloquent just because they say sometimes. See, I can't now. It's like when you drive a car, and then you suddenly see that car everywhere. I'm like, oh fuck, I just did it. Ooh.
Was Robert Westman. Now you might be thinking, well, that's not a big reveal. Oh, I mean, oops. Robin Westman, previously Robert Westman, is the man who identifies as a woman who carried out today's attack, clearly inspired by the Nashville incident as well. Now we know why the Minnesota PD didn't want to say anything about it. Also, weirdly, name-dropping Brandon Herrera multiple times. I think that is a troll. This person appears to be just a weird troll individual too. You can't trust.
You can't trust. Okay, but God, Jeremy, you're not supposed to say that part out loud, because if you can't trust their ideology, then why are you ascribing their gender identity to ideology as a, well, of course they're like, think about what you're saying. This is the problem with just freeballing it, just freewheeling, just going off the cuff. It doesn't fucking matter. 120,000 views. Like he's that's rent money, y'all. Like to give an idea of how much money that is, that's rent. Like, that's fucking crazy to me.
Everything that comes out of their mouth, because it's not always congruent. But also we have we have his message to, he said, end Donald Trump on one of his magazines. This is the most information we've ever had on any one of these people, and we got it within an hour, but only because they told on themselves. Make no mistake about it, Minnesota would not have released any of this. Let's get into this. By the way, I'd say we need to talk about LGBTQ weapon control. I'm just saying. What is this, like 9 out of the last 10? Just
again, we looked at the actual last 10. 9 of the last 10. See, here's the thing. This is what happens when you have a entirely insular news sphere where they think, and again, it doesn't go with their narrative, to actually talk about everything that qualifies as a mass shooting. What goes with their narrative is the mass shootings that not only break through to the mainstream news cycle, but the ones that they can then capitalize on in their circles and sell as, oh, this is a trans terrorist. So maybe for them, like maybe Jeremy is still counting Nashville for some fucking reason in the last 10 shootings. The reality of the situation is there have been over 100 since then, but they don't know that. And certainly, oh God, they're not going to, they hate to see a research coming on it. Huh?
It's more than a coincidence now. His name was Robert Westman until 2020 when he legally changed his name to Robin. You can see here the court documents, application good faith, order granting name change. His parents supported it, by the way. Mary and Robert, his parents, supported his name change to become a woman, Robin M. Westman, previously Robert Westman. Identifying as a female and wants her.
Okay, I'm gonna roll back because I need to count down here. I want to see how long it takes him to get through the solitary, just the one little shred of information that Robin changed her name. That I can say that to you. Robin Westman changed her name in 2020. Done. Dunzo. That's it. Fucking moving on. I want to see how long it takes Jeremy to get through that same sentiment. Let me
the court documents.
Okay, so let's say it starts at 2:20.
Application good faith, order granting name change. His parents supported it, by the way. Mary and Robert, his parents, supported his name change to become a woman, Robin M. Westman, previously Robert Westman. Identifying as a female and wants her name and whatever and regular identification to match that. Parents. Now, I wonder.
I'm going to call that 40 seconds. I'm going to call that 40 fucking seconds to get through that one shred of info. If you're wondering how his padded content goes, like, that is some Stay Puffed level of padding. That is some fucking Michelin Man. Hellion Vision, thank you for $1.99. Write a metal song on this Freak I Know a channel. I think there's some good. There's got to be some good, like, Alex Jones style metal remixes of Jeremy, right?
Perhaps the parents should be charged in this because they clearly were participating in a lot of the insanity. We saw a lot of things.
Jesus fucking Christ. The parents should be charged. Okay. Again, I don't think you actually want to follow through the logic here, Jeremy. If parents should be charged for their 23-year-old's crimes, like, okay, let's retroactively apply that to a bunch of other shit. Let's retroactively apply that to a bunch of conservative shooters, more conservative shooters, more open white supremacist mass shooters. Man.
Written on his.
See, again, this is the kind of shit that 15 years ago, Alex Jones would be talking about, and now they want to charge the parents because we're living in a banana republic with a kangaroo court and all that. Like, it would be this massive bone of contention in another era, but not this one. All right, I only have so much time left. So we're going to talk about Big Balsh. Carnal, there is evidence it was a trans shooter. Unfortunately, there are court documents, like Jeremy was just going over the court documents where she changed her name. Like, this is one of the only trans shooters there's evidence for it being trans. I'll say that. 5 hours ago, Matt Walsh said, it's time to have a national conversation about common sense restrictions on transgenders. Now, obviously, for Matt, this is a funny joke. Like common sense restrictions on guns. Now, it doesn't matter that, because Matt tries to cover everything with sarcasm and jokes, even though he's saying what he actually means. He does think that trans people should be restricted from public life. He does genuinely believe that. But the funny part to me is that he doesn't see the hypocrisy in pointing out common sense restrictions on a type of people, but not guns, which are killing people far more commonly and far more rapidly. Pastor Ben, anything before common sense restrictions on guns, though. Do you remember what I was saying at the very beginning about people like Matt Walsh? Like, I know Matt knows. You go into his comments and there are Nazis. Get a load of this shit. Get a load of this shit. Who's behind the rise in transgenderism? A Jewish sexologist. And they have to go back to Hirschfield for this. Matt. Ban them all. Remove them from society and place them in asylums. Says somebody with 24,000 subscribers. Tired of people pandering to these things. This happened because for too long, Americans have gone along with this mental illness, lying and pretending that men can be female while that is not and never will be possible. What is at the root of transgenderism? HVAC worker. Great. Nehemiah, thank you for $5. Oh my God. Here, triple parentheses, we are. Lady, come on now. Lady. All right. Now, that was just the kind of culmination of Matt's little tirade. And you've already seen people I think it was up here. I want to go through all of these because we've laid the groundwork for, I hope by this point in the stream, I've helped lay the groundwork a little bit for understanding how these people don't care about the truth of the matter, don't care about the actual issues at the heart of why this person decided to go and murder people. Instead, they only care about the utility this event has. The outrage Matt Walsh is going to tomorrow performatively level at Democrats and trans people when he huffs and puffs on his fucking talk show, which we'll go over. I'll try and go over it Friday. And again, this is a vision from the ether. This is a vision from the beyond. I haven't seen this yet, but I'm picturing I'm picturing Matt Walsh sitting in his dumbass little desk and he's being a little bitch and talking shit about trans people and vaguely inciting to violence without saying anything explicit that will get him demonetized or ad restricted. That's my prediction. He is, and you can go back to my videos on Matt Walsh where I did a deep dive into him. It's going to be the same shit as the Nashville shooter, where he will be far more giddy about the prospect of the violence he feels now justified in spreading. The ideas. It's so good for him when he feels justified to tell people they should be ready to if trans people are even near them. He doesn't give a fuck about dead kids. You're telling me Matt Walsh cares about dead children? I have a hard time believing he'd care about his own children. If they died in a mass shooting event, over the opportunity. If Matt Walsh God forbid, and honestly, I do mean God forbid, go through a tragedy that no person should have to go through in a civilized society. No human being should have any kind of gunman taking away their children in a random, wanton act of violence. But after Sandy Hook, this is the society that America decided was acceptable. That we would all just passively go about our lives while these horrors continue happening around us. Living with the daily hope that one of those stray bullets doesn't come near us or ours. That's the society Matt's okay with. And I guarantee you, if he were to find himself in the horrendous position of a parent who lost a child in one of these random acts of violence, he would not take a day to grieve before he got on air to blame one minority or another, and certainly not introspect about the role guns had to do with any of it. The Wave Runners, thank you for $2. The dog can sense the evil through the screen. Oh boy, she can. So, this is the point where we are passing beyond the border of incitement. Because stochastic terror relies on letting people read between the lines, leading a horse right to water. And oh, they're so thirsty. They can't help but drink. If I present you, let me give an example of stochastic terror. If I present you a hypothetical and I give you, I don't tell you what the solution is. But I say, hey, this person, random person, is going to come to your house. They're going to break in. They're going to kill your family. Whatever. You know, a scary hypothetical. And I just state that as a fact. Then you now have the perception that you and your family and the things and people you love are being threatened. So, obviously, you are justified in any force to fight back. That is the exact same model that people like Matt Walsh, people like Chaya Raichik pass on constantly through their rhetoric, through all of their content and media. It is the idea that the transgenders, they're out there, they're doing bad stuff. They're so evil. The government wants to take your kids and make them trans, everything transgender. And so, the unspoken conclusion that they lead their audience to is that, therefore, you are justified in helping to stop this plague. Because, as we're seeing here, the level of viciousness, the dehumanizing vitriol, the threat that is implied by just the words Matt uses to describe trans people as an entire group, as a monolith, leads to no other assumption than that Matt Walsh doesn't just think violence against trans people is acceptable, but after so long of hitting this same nail over and over and over and over again, I can come to no other conclusion than Matt Walsh is now encouraging violence against trans people openly through these tweets. And I defy anybody to look at what he's saying here and find a different outcome that he is intending. A Jew kills 2 Catholic kids. Then the Jew may... Jesus Christ. What did I say about the Nazis in his replies? Holy shit, dude. Trans terrorism. Wow, dude. I don't even know what's going on here. I can't. Words mean things. Define epidemic genius. That's actually very funny because of Matt's bizarre preoccupation with words. I love how people are going to fearmonger about shit like this as if they aren't the very same. Like, fucking, you'll show clips of you and your family in red, white, and blue bikinis with your 3-year-old holding assault rifles. Here we go. It's the same story over and over. Jewish, sorry, that fucking combination of words took me out for a second. Jewish trans terrorism is genuinely funny for me. Who started Troon ideology? Who pushes it? What ethnicity is your boss? Free yourself, Matt. Man. The left is loving this. More dead just making shit up. It's incredible. It's incredible. So, I want to continue. Sorry, I have a text real quick. Trans terrorism is an epidemic. We've already talked about how it's not. But that's the narrative that they want accepted. Many of us warned it would come to this. When you affirm the perverse fantasies of sick and delusional people and you do it systematically at scale, I don't think he understands what that means. You are creating precisely this kind of catastrophe. It was inevitable. So now I want you to think about this. I realize this is pretty easy to understand. Like, this is pretty Bush League shit. But I'm walking through it step by step because I don't want anybody to miss anything. Because now he is equating trans people with being terrorists, with then saying that them being in society, them being accepted at any level, that trans people can only inevitably lead to mass casualty events and targeting of your children. That is the lie he is pushing to his audience. Every trans person is dangerously delusional. They are all mentally sick, and doctors should be legally barred from affirming their mental illness in any way, adult or child. Everyone knows it. Not everyone, Matt. People who actually went to college disagree with you. People who actually study this for a living disagree with you. The trans people who live happier lives disagree with you. You fucking moron. Now innocent children are dying because so many people were too cowardly to speak up. Again, you are equating, this is the most false equivalency. The idea Matt is presenting here is that if trans people had been pushed out of society, if we lived in his hypothetical, perfect, weird, fascist utopia where there were no trans people, then this shooting wouldn't have happened. Then there wouldn't have been somebody who was mentally disturbed beyond being trans. And because you are accepting of trans people, well, that's why innocent children die. He was firing these off today. Again, I need you to understand. This inflammation, this incitement, being everywhere from him to Benny Johnson to fucking Tim Pool to the quartering to Christine Nome, Homeland Security. It sure does feel like somebody is pushing something. Which is why I need more people to get active in community defense, get active in self-defense. If you are a queer person, and I'm not just talking about trans, because if you're gay, if you're bi, if you're non-binary, which is trans, by the way, if you are any stripe of ally or LGBTQ+, this is the time for you to actually, it is past time, honestly. You're late to the party. But you need to be showing support for your community in a way that matters. And that doesn't always mean firearms training. That doesn't always mean buying guns. But it does mean you need to seek out your local community group meetings. You need to be active in your local political scene. You need to have defense plans. You need to coordinate with other local groups. You need to form your own local groups. Because people are going to try and come for you. I've talked about on the stream before, I've spoken about how often me and my partner, just walking out fucking in downtown, have been targeted, harassed, almost assaulted by random fucking people constantly. Carnal, thank you for $5. Recently started transitioning. The witch hunt they're going to start has made me so glad I am well armed. I hate guns. I hate even more I might need them. Yeah, me too. I would love, I've talked about it before, I would love to live in a society without guns. Dr. Leviathan, thank you for $5. They will literally say anything so they can keep selling guns. Jesus Christ. Yeah, the torture never stops. The torture never stops. The trans agenda is losing. They're losing on every playing field in every area of American life, which is not true. We've defeated them politically. We've defeated them politically. We've defeated them culturally. How there was a good who was talking about, was it wasn't Matt, who was talking about recently, they went over the Target backlash led to, like, there was a massive shift away from Target after they toned down their queer shit. Now is precisely the moment when trans militants are the most dangerous. See, again, in the previous tweet, and again, I'm trying to tie this together so everybody understands. There's no wiggle room here. As much as he and people like him might want to try and say, like, well, that's not what I meant. In the previous tweet, he tied being trans to being inherently dangerous. He has already tied being trans to being a militant. And now he is saying trans militants are the most dangerous right now. The game is over. Now they're more desperate than ever, more full of hatred and anger than ever. They're going down, but they'll take as many sane, normal people with them as they can. It's going to get worse from here. Be on your guard. What he is doing is openly advocating for violence against trans people. I want you to make no fucking mistake about it. What he is saying to his audience, the unbalanced people who are going to fucking hear him, he is saying that if you are afraid, you should be rightfully afraid. If you see a trans person, if you even think somebody is trans, they need to be pushed out of society. They need to be put in asylums. None of them should transition. They're all dangerous. And therefore, the people riled up and incensed by this will feel justified in meting out the violence that Matt Walsh is, again, not just okay with, but at this point, encouraging. And to people like him, it doesn't matter who actually gets hurt. Because to people like Matt, there is no innocent trans person. There is nobody just living their life. There is nobody just minding their business. It wasn't all that long ago anyone who identified as the opposite sex would be involuntarily committed to an insane asylum. Does anyone at this point seriously think our current approach is an improvement? So again, he is advocating for not only completely taking away, stripping any and all trans adults of any healthcare rights, something that is going to be pushed, but then saying that you need to be involuntarily institutionalized. A dehumanizing stripping of your personhood and imprisonment. This motherfucker does not believe in anything except cruelty. Cruelty to others. Cruelty to anybody he doesn't understand, it, especially if that person pushes back against him. It's also not fucking true. He wants to make it sound like, oh, well, back in the 90s, they would put you in an insane asylum. Christine Jorgensen came out in the 40s, 50s, 40s. There were cowboys, cowpokes, rustlers in the Old West. Public Universal Friend. If you don't know the story of the Public Universal Friend, go look up them. The idea that queer people are a new phenomenon is so tightly woven into their ideology, yet you can poke holes in it. And at every point, it shows that the things they say, ooh, these are the way we used to deal with stuff. No, it's not. There have always been people who are accepting, who are curious, who are understanding. You're just none of those things, you fucking prick. Well, we're not involuntarily committing those people to insane asylums anymore. Jesus Christ. It's not even an improvement for them. They're better off in facilities as their suicide rate is the highest of any demographic you can pull out of the alphabet. Wow. Excuse me. We must shame. Here's Richard Stevenson. We must shame and bully these faggots in dresses and anyone who supports the ideology back into the obscure periphery of our society from which they came. Society might be better served by committing anyone that identifies as progressive. Jesus Christ. It's women and liberals making this happen. There's so many people whose brains are just absolutely cooked. Nehemiah, thank you for $20. Just some advice to make a group start by reaching out. If you have a community on social media, do it there. If not, put up flyers in your area if you want. Go out as a group to draw attention. Get together with friends. There are a couple groups around here that are meeting at local gay bars. If you don't know where to start, look for your local gay bars. If you don't know where to start there, well, I was gonna say look for kink meetups, but that's honestly I can't recommend that. The amount of horror stories I've heard from those spaces, you would think they'd be more open, progressive, but they are not. I would say start with the gay bars. Make sure they have a good reputation. Check out, make sure you don't go somewhere and get roofied or anything. Gay bars still exist. And there we go. It is time to have a national conversation about common sense restrictions on transgenders. Notice how he's not responding to any of these. So tomorrow, Matt and people like him are going to go about their regular duties. They are going to start spinning more narratives and start finding more excuses for why you I'm assuming I'm talking to a trans person, or why you should be afraid of trans people, why trans people are evil, why trans people are coming to get you. And whatever they say, it is all going to be in service of doing that thing, they said they didn't want to do, and that is stripping trans adults of their health care, trying to shut down any kind of acceptance for trans people in public life, trying to shun any trans people. And all of their rhetoric will trickle down and filter down to stories that you won't hear about. You're not going to hear about the dozens upon dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of people who are going to be randomly assaulted on the street, who are going to be harassed, raped, murdered. Those stories will flicker into the ether. Because the fun part about being in a minority group is that when bad things happen to you, it's very easy for the majority to not pay attention. If you've ever wondered, wow, why? This is one of those things. It comes with the wisdom of age. Is when I was growing up, my conservative family propagandized to me the idea that the Black Panthers they hated white people. They were so racist. They only let in other black people. This isn't true. The Black Panthers were a community defense organization who tried to aid other people in their communities who were predominantly, mostly, overwhelmingly black and also victimized. There are not nearly as many trans people as there are black people in America. I don't expect there to be a trans version of the Black Panthers. What I do expect is intersectionality and queer people of every stripe to do your best to ally with your own local groups. If they aren't there, you need to go and find them. You need to go inform them. Because I guarantee there is somebody out there who wants to help just as much as you do. And right now, more than ever, you need to be helping each other. Dave L., thank you for $5. This is a rough one. Hope everyone is doing okay at the moment. Hang in there, folks. I have to go get some food. I want to thank everybody who's hung out so far today. If you haven't yet, please go check out the channel. The new video essay I am very thrilled about. I'm so happy with how it turned out, and I would very much like more views on it so I can justify doing more of it. Let's go, because we are in a trans we're gonna go say hi to Riverboat Jack. It's been a minute since we rated Jack, but I want y'all to go say hi, go like, follow, and thank you all. And I want you all to stay safe out there to the best of your ability. And I hope you have a good night.